Now I want to show you how you can define or make changes to strokes around shapes to make them more interesting to view, to look at. So I'm going to make a rectangle. So let me make this rectangle right here. I'm just going to have it have a pretty big stroke without having any fill at this point. So when we want to manipulate the stroke, we are going to open up the strokes panel, and we have a lot of different things here. So we have the weight. We can change the weight, right? We can also decide how do we want our ends of our stroke to look. Now, this is going to be difficult to see on the square, so I'm actually going to also just draw a line here. And give it a pretty big stroke. And then actually draw another one. Alright, so we have this line down here now, and I can change the way that the ends of this line look. I'm going to zoom into it so you can see it a little bit better. Right now they're just straight lines, which that's called a butt cap. So that just kind of chopped off look is the butt cap. But I can round it, and you can see if I click the round cap, you get sort of round ends. And then if I do the, it's the miter cap, or the projecting cap, that basically just, if you can see the edge of the cap goes past the bounding line or the path line just a little bit. So it looks the same as the first one, but if you watch, I'm going to click the butt cap. You can see it chops off right at the end of the path line, while the it's got a weird name, the projecting cap goes a little bit further. Now right below where you can set the caps is where you can set the joins, and that's basically how it looks in the on the corners where you join two paths in a corner point. So right now, and that's called basically a miter. When it comes together like that, it's mitered, and you can actually change how that looks by increasing the limit. It doesn't really affect it too much, as you can tell, at least immediately. But you can also make that a round join. You can see I just took the point off. So this is the miter join. That's the round join. And then you can bevel it, so it kind of has a flat edge to it. So that's how you do the join. Now, the next part is this middle section is the align stroke section, and I'm going to make it so we can see our square again, because I want you to see the stroke and how it goes around the line. And actually, I'm going to select this. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I'm just trying to select this one, and I'm going to make it very, very wide. I'm going to up the weight so that you can see it very good. Alright, so you see on this that the stroke is equally on the inside of the path as to the outside. So it basically is placed over the path squarely. So half of it's inside the closed path, and half of it's outside the closed path. Now if I clicked, that's that first button. That's just aligns it to the center of the stroke, aligns to the path. But I can make it actually align to the inside of the path. So if I click this, oops, I've got to actually have my shape selected, which now it is. If I click to the inside, which is the middle button, you see now all the stroke is now inside the bounding box or the path. And then if I click outside, align to outside, it's all on the outside of the bounding box. And you can also change what the line is. So it doesn't have to be a solid line. You can pick one of these patterns that's already here to create some really interesting looks for your stroke. Now I'm going to put it back to the regular stroke, and I'm going to have it aligned to center again because that's kind of the norm. But the next thing I want to show you is actually if you go back to this type and you go all the way down to where it says dashed, this does some really interesting things. This is where you can set your dash. Now this is a really big stroke, so I'm going to make it smaller, not that small. There we go. And now this is just a plain dashed line, and you can see it, there's not much to it there. Actually, not sure what that is doing. But if you go down here, you can actually set how wide the dashes should be and how wide the gaps should be. So I'm going to do that next here. I'm going to leave 12 points in there because that's what it is now. So that means that these dashes are 12 points wide. And then I'm going to say I want my gap between the 12 points to be 20 points. Now you see it changed. But here's the fun part. You can actually make a pattern. So maybe I want my next dash to be not quite so long. So I'm going to say 6. Now I've got this kind of long dash, short dash, medium dash, gap, different gaps. I can do a shorter gap, so I can do a gap of, let's say, 10, and then maybe another dash of like 15, and then another gap of like 6. Now I've created my own pattern. And here, let me turn the to preview so you can see it without the path, and it just looks really interesting and fun, and you can change that all you want. You can actually put color in the gap, so you can have sort of a different effect there. Now if I make my stroke a specific color other than black, let me make it yellow. So I've colored the stroke yellow and the gap pink, right? Is that what I did? Let me see, I can't remember now. Yeah, so my gaps have been filled with pink and the stroke is yellow, and I get this really interesting effect by doing that. You can also affect how the ends of the stroke will look. You can put arrows onto them, or blocks, and you can just really do a lot of different things here, which make for some easy and interesting design.